one of those little Zen meditation little desk toys. Like, look at this one.
Oh my god.
Hypnotize people.
I know, literally, I'm like, oh my god, are you hypnotizing me now? Whoa. Oh my god.
Yeah, and then when you look in the center, that's the most hypnotic.
It's where they take me into the. Have you seen Get Out?
Yeah, oh yeah.
What's it called? The sunken place. That's how you're putting me into the sunken place. Is you're like.
Now you're under my spell.
Relax.
Relax.
Go down, or whatever they say. Like.
Oh yeah, that movie is dark.
I know. I love it.
Yeah. Have you seen what is the other one called?
Us.
Us. Yeah.
Not yet. It's on my list.
Yeah, I've seen that. That one's good.
I really want to watch it. But there's just too many movies to watch. Today, before I came over here, I'm halfway through Freddy vs. Jason.
Really?
Yeah. I found it on VHS at Goodwill the other day.
Whoa.
So I was like, all right.
It's fun seeing the...
Mm-hmm. It looks so good. Like, the movie's so stupid so far, but
Yeah,
like, it looks so good, like, being on VHS.
Wow. That's awesome you have a VHS.
Mm-hmm. You know Nick Giosa.
Yeah.
For my birthday, he got me a Grateful Dead live show on VHS.
Wow.
And so I was like, well, I have to get a VHS player to play this.
Yeah.
So I found one, got it for like $10, found it. Works great. And then now I'm like, well, I have a VHS player. I might as well buy some tapes.
Yeah.
So now I have like a pretty big...
You've acquired a mass.
Yeah, I think I have this many.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they're like that thick each, so that's a lot.
Right there, stacked up. John hates it. He's like, why do we have these? They look so good.
He's like, you can watch them on the internet.
Yeah, he's like, we have Netflix. I'm like, it's not the same.
It doesn't solve all the problems.
It's like, yeah, we have Spotify, but we still buy vinyls. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Or cassettes, CDs.
It's the medium.
Exactly.
That you.
Yeah.
It's very hands-on.
Like,
rewinding it.
DVDs are even like different from like digital. Like,
yeah.
Like
there's no menu or there's no like scene selection.
No scene selection. The trailers, I love putting it on and it just goes through all these trailers.
Yeah.
Like, so good. And so then the VHS is even better. And then when it's done, you have to like, I have like a little rewinder. So I have to take it out and I have to put it in and rewind it.
Be kind, rewind.
Mm-hmm. It's perfect. It's great.
What other VHS movies do you have?
I got, what don't I have now?
What is your like the gold mine?
The gold mine is I found a unopened copy of A New Hope, but like pre it being called A New Hope. So it's just Star Wars unopened. So that's sitting on the shelf. That's like up here. But out of the ones that I got Scream.
Oh wow.
I got The Wedding Singer.
Oh.
Those are definitely some faves on VHS. What else do I have? I got American Pie 2. Ooh. Not the first one, but the second one. Those because it's all just like if I find them. Like I haven't ordered any.
Yeah.
So I found American Pie 2 and I was like, well, this will do.
The music's fun in that too.
Dude, it's so good.
Yeah.
I have
1 and 2.
1 and 2. I found the first one's soundtrack on CD.
Oh wow.
So good. I like forgot how good the music is.
Yeah.
Perfect. Blink-182 is literally in the movie.
Oh really? In the second one or the
in the first one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're like side characters in the movie.
Nice. I need to see the first one again. That's like when they go to like prom, right?
No.
American Pie.
Well, maybe they do. It's just in high school,
yeah,
so maybe they go to prom.
Yeah.
I feel like in any high school, they have like a prom. I don't know.
That's the climax.
I know. It's like we all make it to prom.
That's like in Superbad.
Yeah, dude, Superbad is so good.
It's a great movie.
Great movie. That was one of those movies that like loved growing up, and then I was really scared it like didn't age well, and then I watched it over the summer. It's still one of the funniest movies ever made. It's so fucking funny.
He's like, I'm just saying, she looks like she can take a dick.
Ooh, you want me to hold your lube? You want me to get you some lube? I love love it. So funny. Are we recording?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought so, but
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to say anything.
Well, I might as well say this now.
Okay.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Nashville Artist Podcast. I'm Jordan, and today Maissie Musick is here.
Right here.
And we're already starting off hot.
Woo!
VHSs and shit.
This is going to be your best episode. I hope you know.
It is going to be.
It's going to be the...
There's going to be a lot of... Yeah.
Everyone...
A lot of camaraderie.
Hell yeah. Everyone's either going to love this episode or hate this episode.
Yeah.
It's going to be one or the other. I'm
Some
excited.
ASMR in there.
I know. I'm going to do a lot of like... Ooh, this is like a little callback to the episode on my podcast that we did with the drumming.
Oh, yeah.
This is a little... All I can do is like... that's my drum. It's classic.
That's the one you do on the bleachers.
Yeah.
When you want to like rebel against the principal.
That's what I would do when I like refused to participate in PE in like junior high. I just sit there like... They'd be like, Maissie, come on. You're athletic. Play. I'm like, fuck you guys. I'm never going to do this. I'm a rebel. What can I say?
I feel I think that's how we relate.
Mm-hmm. We're on the same wavelength over here.
Definitely. So you're from the Midwest, right? Mm-hmm. Where are you from?
I'm from Illinois.
Okay.
I'm from... I forgot how to talk for a second. Let me start over. I'm from Illinois. I'm from near Quincy, Illinois, which that was like our nearest city. Like if we wanted groceries, we'd have to, it was like 25 miles from where I grew up, from like my actual town. But that's like the landmark. I'm always like, oh, do you know where Quincy is? And most of the time they're like, is that a Chicago suburb? And I'm like, nope. I'm like 5 hours from Chicago.
You're out in the cornfields.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I got my corn tattoo.
Nice.
I got it
When'd you get that one?
Last October. Not this like past October. October 2019. I got it.
Oh, you're part of the children of the corn.
Mm-hmm. I am the child of the corn. Yeah, that's what they call me. The corn queen.
Now you just gotta be corny.
I can do that pretty easily. I can get corny for sure.
That's hilarious.
I love it.
So do you have any like siblings?
Yeah, I have a little brother. He is 3 years younger than me. 3 years younger than me. His name's McLean.
Oh wow. Maissie and McLean.
Maissie and McLean Music. He also has red hair. Yeah, he's in college. He actually, so we both grew up on a farm, as I alluded to when we talked about living out in the middle of a cornfield. I grew up on a farm, and I went the like path of like, went to it's like private liberal arts college, majored in like English, creative writing, theater, moved to Nashville as soon as I graduated. And then my brother, like, he like goes to school close to home. He is studying like ag science. He's like still does like the livestock stuff. Like he's gonna be in the farm forever.
Feeding the pigs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way of life.
Someone's got to do it.
Yeah.
You know? I guess he can.
That's You just get to write the book.
I know. I'll write about him.
Yeah.
I was like...
That's your country.
Yeah, he can do that. He has the farm, and then I'll just write about it. I do, like... I am nostalgic about living on a farm. Eventually one day.
I mean, here in Nashville, technically you can.
Yeah, well, that's like one of the things I love about Nashville is like... It was like the perfect, like, big city for me to move to. Because even where I went to college was, like, a smaller, like... I went to school, like, around Davenport, Iowa, which is still not... It's, like, a small city. Like, it's nothing crazy. So, like, Nashville was the perfect bigger city for me to move to because I'm definitely meant to live in a city right now. Mm-hmm. And so, like... having a great time living. I like live in the city, got all my like I can walk to do whatever I want, like it's great, I love it. But then whenever I need to, it's just like a 20-minute drive in any direction, and you're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love being able to like get away if I want to. Also because of that, a lot of people here are like super into outdoorsy stuff. So it's like really easy for me. It's not like if I moved to Chicago and it would be hard for me to maybe find people that would be willing to like go outside of the city with me. Whereas like here, almost all of my friends, I can be like, all right, anyone want to go hiking, camping, you know, like canoeing, kayak, anything? And they're like, yeah, let's go. So it's great. I love it.
Yeah. You would say like your main art medium is writing, right?
Yeah.
When was the aha moment that you decided writing was like, this is really cool?
I don't know. Like, I feel like because I was obviously on the way here, I was like thinking about like, what are the questions he's going to ask? And I knew that we would be talking about like writing and stuff, but I actually was trying to like think about that. Like, okay, like when was it that I like started writing? And like, really when I think about it, as far back as I can remember, I had been very interested in writing or started writing. I guess I would say like the earliest memory of like, you know, like reading and writing and really thinking about it was as early as second grade. Like I remember we had one class where, you know, the like over the river and through the woods song
to
or
grandma's house.
Yeah. I have like a vivid memory of being in Mrs. Hood's class, and we like each day talked about a different line in the song, which, you know, obviously you're in second grade, you're not thinking about how like crazy that is to like break down a song and to like talk about what each line means, you know. But then looking back on it, I'm like, that's crazy that I like specifically remember that. And so I guess I would say that could have been like the catalyst towards like, you know, reading a lot more, thinking a lot more about the types of books I was reading. You know, I think fourth grade was the first time that I like sat down and was like, I'm going to write a story. And I like don't remember what it was about at all. I think there was like a grandpa character. That's like the only thing I remember. But I think fourth grade was the first time that I like sat down and like wrote something. And I remember taking it to my teacher. Mrs. Beaver was my fourth grade teacher, and taking it to her. And I do distinctly remember being that the first time that I like wrote something and a teacher wasn't just like, aw, good job. You know, like, I feel like, you know, that whole like age range,
like, you get a star.
You do anything, and like teachers and your parents friends and any adult is just like, aw, good for you. We're going to have a little writer one day. Aw, you know, but this was the first time that I remember giving it to her, and she's like, okay, I'll read it. And she gave it back to me the next day, and she was like, you're missing this, you need to do this, you need to do that. And obviously I was in fourth grade, so I was kind of bummed. I was like, I'm used to people like lifting me up and whatever. But like, that was the first time that someone was like, no, this is how criticism works. And if you want to be a writer, you need to like fix things, and you need to practice, and you need to keep trying different things in order to build a good story. And so I think those were the two times that I was like, I can like vividly remember being like, oh, writing could be a thing. It wasn't just another art form. Because I did, as most kids do, you dabble in different things, as we've talked about before. And I wanted to be an artist. So my parents got me like an art kit, you know, like markers and I think like, you know, whatever, kit, paint and pencils and what are those?
Charcoal or pastel?
Yeah, some pastel, you know. And so I had a phase where I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be a fashion designer. I wanted to like, there was a spell, actually, now that I think, I completely forgot. I had a songwriting spell in like fifth grade. So nothing that I can share now. That's all long gone. But I, you know, like still like, maybe I'll be a musician. Maybe I'll, you know, so like dabbling in these different art forms. But like writing is the thing that has always just kind of like consistently stuck by. And I think it helps that English teachers are some of the most like supportive people that you'll ever have in your schooling. No matter how much you like love your math teacher, you know, like your math teacher probably isn't going to be like, ah, yes, a mathematician, you should go to school and study more math. You know, like 99% of the time they're going to be like, yeah, you should join the football team, you know, like something like that. Whereas English, so like,
don't be like me.
That helps where like English you know, it's something I already was interested in, but then on top of that, English teachers are always like, yeah, like, write, read.
Be rebellious.
You know, like,
think.
Go against the norm, you know, like all this kind of stuff. So, sorry, I really kind of talked about a lot of things just then, but...
That's good.
Yeah.
That's what we call gist.
That's the gist of it.
Yeah.
I gave you the gist. Gave you the little runaround there.
All right, well, let's go further.
Okay.
When you were younger, like in elementary school, what books did you like to read? Because I loved the Magic Treehouse.
I loved the Magic Treehouse books. Oh my gosh.
The Great Illustrated Classics.
So good. So, yes. Yes. I actually, dude, synchronicities, man. So we're talking about Magic Treehouse now. I was at Goodwill the other day and I found a ton of Magic Treehouse books and I was like, oh, like, John would be so mad if I brought these home. I can't buy them. Like, yeah. And then I think a couple days before that, I also was talking about Magic Treehouse with another friend. I think everyone needs to go out now, pause this episode, go out and read some Magic Treehouse books and come back because that'll put you in the mindset for what we're talking about today. Yeah, definitely like elementary. I feel like, you know, like elementary school, everyone kind of reads the same thing, you know, like everyone has, the classics. You got the Magic Treehouse, you got I was really into, did you ever read the Spiderwick books?
I think I was familiar with them.
Yeah, that's what
there was like, what is it?
Lemony Snicket, the series of unfortunate events. Yeah, loved those. I definitely think, like 3rd, 4th grade is when... So I wasn't allowed to read Harry Potter growing up.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't have that, but somehow was able to get around that rule. And my parents let me read like the Spiderwick books. And so that was my introduction to like high fantasy and like stuff like that. So I had like Spiderwick. There was also a series called the Bailey Schoolhouse books, I think is what they were called. And it was basically like you have a group of friends that are in like each book, but then in each book they like discover that one of their like teachers or their like mailman or the like gas station person, they convince themselves that it's like a mermaid. They're like, oh my god, our gym teacher is a mermaid. Oh my god, like our math teacher is a witch. You know, like, and so the whole book is them like trying to prove to the other adults that like the librarian is a zombie, you know, like stuff like that. And so
wow, yeah. What is that?
I think they were called Bailey Schoolhouse.
Okay, because I remember like Bernstein Bears.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was chump change. I was done with those early on.
The Great Illustrated Classics.
Yeah, I think I remember.
It's like, you know, Tale of Two Cities, all those types of books, like Robin Hood.
Oh, yeah. I never read those.
Or Around the World in 80 Days.
I don't think I was familiar with any, you know, like what we consider classic until, I don't know, junior high, you know, like.
Oh,
yeah, because it just wasn't, not that my parents, like, didn't, you know, encourage like reading and writing and art and, you know, like that kind of stuff. Like they were very encouraging about that stuff, but like that wasn't something that they were like into. Mm-hmm. So it's not like I had parents that were like, oh yes, our daughter loves reading. We got to get her hooked on this stuff. We got to like get her this, like, you know, the type of parent I will probably will be like that.
Yeah.
But I'll be like, all right,
do whatever you want.
Sit down. Time to read Les Mis. I know you're only 5, but we'll get through this together, you know? So, I didn't have any kind of introduction, even though, like, I know you said those are, like, for younger, they're, like, translated for, like, younger kids, right?
Right.
But even that, like, I don't even think I knew what any of those classic books were until I was much older.
Yeah, like, I remember reading The Outsiders a lot in elementary school.
I did love The Outside. Yeah.
Like at one point I read it in like 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And like
So
also
good.
in like 4th grade. But I had to read it for school at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember reading it for school. And then I was like, oh, this is it. Like, this is best book ever. And then the movie is so good.
Patrick Swayze. And...
Yeah, it's like, okay, for people that are listening and have never seen the movie, it's not a good movie.
Yeah.
That's what,
but
yeah.
Since you've read the book, it's fine.
You read the book, or if you like grew up watching it, like it's so good, and the cast it's insane how stacked the cast is. Like Rob Lowe, Patrick Swayze, like every like hot young male actor at the time was in that movie.
Right.
And they're all just greasers, and they look so good, and I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, it was a great movie. I still remember like the opening words of the book. It's like he's walking out of the theater, and the socks jump him, or the socias jump him. And they've like he's got like his elbows like pinned to the ground, and the guy's just like ground and pounding him.
Stay down.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. Exactly. Like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have the movie, so we should watch it sometime.
Really? Yeah, I'd like to watch that. Is it on VHS?
It's not on VHS.
Oh, okay.
If I found it.
Well, that's probably better because if we watched it or watched it here, whatever, DVD and.
I got it on DVD though, so I'll bring it over. Got
Nice.
it. Movie night.
Yeah, that or like if there's ever a movie we can't find HDMI cord to the TV.
Exactly.
We live in the 21st century.
I'm gonna just like watch The Outsiders online for free. YouTube.com. Yeah. Like we'll find it. It'll be perfect.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, so I guess I mean I really read anything that I could get my hands on. Anything I could get my hands on, and my parents were okay with me reading. Which really the only ones, it was Harry Potter and Twilight were the ones that my parents were like, nope.
Oh, wow.
Not doing that. So I read basically everything else. But yeah. And it's still that way. I'll basically read anything.
So that's great. Just downloading information to your brain. Yeah.
Constantly.
That's how
I open a book and my eyes just like scan really quickly. I don't even read it. My brain just downloads the information and I can talk about it later.
Yeah. I'm a machine.
That's what they call. I'm a reading machine.
Enter brain.
Beep 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 boop bop boop bop beep boop.
All right, done. Now I can explain this whole concept.
Just in time for my final paper.
All right. So, were you a big writer in high school or reader in high school?
So, I wrote. So here's the thing. Like I knew how much I really loved writing from a very young age up until now. Still, obviously. But high school and college were two time periods where I guess you would say I'm a very like rounded out type of person. So like, and I played sports. I played volleyball through college, and I've always been interested in like a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't the type of person that necessarily could, like get home from school and then like write. I couldn't get home from classes in college and write. Like I always had something else that I had planned that I had to do, So it wasn't really until, I was always writing and I always knew I loved it. I was always very excited, whenever we got assigned like a paper, even a paper for school. I was like, I'm going to write this paper. It's going to be so good. 30 pages. Let's go. Like, great. But it wasn't until college that I had more opportunities to kind of be forced to like sit down, write, take it in for like workshops and, get reviews, rewrite it again, take it in for another workshop, turn it in somewhere. I started, turning into online literary publications. Our college had a literary art and literary magazine that would come out every year, and so I would submit to that. And also it's a college town, so you have more opportunities to like go to poetry readings and hear other people's work and have a lot more inspiration, have a lot more people around you that are also trying to do those things. Whereas in high school, especially like I said, where I grew up, like those opportunities weren't really there, and if they were there, they weren't there for me. Because you played sports, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, when you're in high school, it's, I would get up for class. I would get up for the bus at 6, and then I'd have to ride the bus for an hour, get to school, class started at 8. You're at school until 3. Then I'd have practice till 5. If it's a game day, then who knows what time you're home.
Right.
And then you get home and you do homework until bed.
Right.
And you do it all again. And then the weekends, you're just trying to do as much stuff as possible, and I'm a very like extroverted person, so I was constantly wanting to be around other people. I didn't really want to I didn't really have the mindset to be like, oh yes, my Saturday, I'm just gonna sit in my room and I'm gonna write a little story. As
very sociable in high school.
I was very social. And so, like I said, it wasn't until college where I was like, oh, I guess I could, just sit and I could write. And that's when and now here we are now. Now I still do that and sit and write and try to send it to people and try to do things with it and stuff like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you like to write short stories?
Yeah, so my main things that I write are creative nonfiction and poetry. Yeah, so I usually do short stories, especially with the creative nonfiction short stories. And then with the poetry, basically any kind of poetry. Mostly free verse, prose, but basically anything else within that. I have dabbled in, I have a lot of ideas for novels and writing much longer books and stories and stuff like that. But, it's very hard for me to I wouldn't say I get bored easily, but I will be writing something that's supposed to be long, a book per se.
Right.
And I'm in the middle of writing it. And then my brain is like, oh, but what if instead of writing this, you wrote something completely different? And so then I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to do that now. And I'll be writing that. And so short stories is a lot better to be okay, you only have to write this many pages, get it done. You can do that in a day, set it aside. Whereas a book, a book is something, the type of books I like to read are very in-depth. Very, big worlds, big characterizations, stuff like that. And so, when I sit down to write stuff like that, then I also want to do that. And so it just takes so much more time and energy, which is great. But my brain doesn't like that. My brain wants it to be just get it all.
Sporadic.
Yeah. I'm very bad at planning my writing.
I see.
Yeah.
It just kind of comes and goes.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are your favorite books then?
So, God, this is always one of those questions that I think I know the answer to.
Right.
And then when someone asks me, I'm like, I don't think I've ever read a book. I don't know. I've never read anything in my entire life.
Books, genres.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that I would say my favorite book is, it's a collection of short stories by Jhumpa Lahiri. The collection is called Interpreter Maladies, and it's so Jhumpa Lahiri is a Indian American woman. So all of her stories have a lot of Indian themes and imagery, a lot of references to like Hindu gods and Hindu stories and stuff like that. But it's all just so vibrant. It's also something that when I first read it, had read nothing like it before. I read it it was for a class in college, and I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever read. Just, if I go to a bookstore or the library, it's just very easy. I think everyone can agree with this. It's very easy to find a book that is about your world, or, the type of life, your perspective, your lifestyle, stuff like that. So it's very easy for me to be like, oh, here's a book about a white girl doing her thing. You live in a life I wish I lived, whatever. Mm-hmm. And so, finally someone was like, no, fucking read about other people And it was the best ever. It was awesome. It was great. Now I'm so much more interested in other like Indian writers, trying to like constantly find more perspectives and stuff like that. So I would definitely say that's probably my favorite. It's one that I'll pick up and I'll like reread, which I don't reread a lot of books. There's so many books in the world to read that it's the same with like movies and TV shows too.
Can't see them all.
Oh my gosh, I always say this and I have yet to find someone that can like relate with me on this, but I one of the only things in the world that like actually gives me like physically gives me anxiety is when I think about how I will never read every book, I will never watch every movie, I will never listen to every album, and sometimes I will like think about that and it freaks me out. And so then because of that, it's very hard for me to be like, I'm just gonna rewatch my favorite movie today.
Of course.
I do that. 'Cause, I mean, a movie's what, at the most 2-3 hours long, so it's fine. But like rereading a book takes a lot of effort, and it takes a lot to sit down and
Mental
do that.
Energy,
yeah, and a lot of time. So I'm constantly reading new books, which I think also is why like the question of like what's your favorite book is so much harder than like what's your favorite movie, because
what's your favorite movie?
Oh, my favorite movie is Big Fish.
Big Fish? Really?
Yeah.
Ewan McGregor,
Tim Burton.
Yeah.
The whole clan.
Big Fish. I remember when that came out. I was in like 5th or 6th grade.
Really?
Maybe I was younger. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. It came out.
I just remember seeing it at such a young age.
Yeah, I have that on VHS.
Wow.
So, very good. Yeah, that's my favorite. Which, I mean, that movie is about storytelling.
Yeah.
It's about life and storytelling.
The father or whatever.
Yeah.
And the son's just like, Dad, you're just crazy and dying. And just...
Get out of here, man. Pull the plug. That's what he's saying the whole time.
You just see him just drinking Ensure a lot of the movie.
I know. It's kind of gross. That's like, every time I see it, I'm like...
I'm always thinking about that. I'm like
why?
Just drinking Ensure.
Just drinking his Ensure, man. He just wants to go for a swim and drink his little milk stuff,
Oh yeah, he swims.
Yeah. Oh my God, Jessica Lange looking hot as fuck always. I love it.
Jessica Lange.
Gotta love it. Yeah. So see, if we talked about, if I were like a movie maker, we could talk about that being my art form, and I would have so much more to say than even, because I'd be like, yes. These directors are the best of all time. I
mean, directors and movies can still definitely inspire.
It's still
writing.
It's still writing.
Screenplays.
Yeah, I have. That is kind of a dream of mine. Is not screenplays, but writing a play.
Oh yeah.
Play or a musical. Musical, actually. A musical would be. Awesome. I could die happy at a very young age if I wrote a musical.
Put it on the bucket list.
And it showed one time at like someone's stage. Doesn't even have to be Broadway. I just want something that works. If I were able to write something that works, if I did that tomorrow, I could die the next day and I'd be happy.
If you need a theatrical dancer.
Oh, I'll get you in there. We'll do it. I'll teach you. I'll teach you some tap. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be... I gotta keep you in mind for that. I have a... So this is... Okay. I'm really sorry if I'm like taking your podcast off the rails.
No, this is good.
But
this helps me then learn to deviate and...
Yeah, well, this is how my brain is always like, let's talk about something completely different, actually.
Whatever you want to talk about.
But this is my episode,
but
Jordan.
Art is all we're talking about.
We're just talking about art.
Art.
That's all we're going to talk about is art. And I mean, this is all writing. This is still all writing and the things that inspire me. These are the things. That's why, that's one of the reasons I love all kinds of media is because it inspires me for what I'm going to write next. I am,
If you were just a writer and that's all you did, it'd probably be pretty boring. Just be like, you write about writing.
I have met people that they write.
They go to the cabin in the woods.
They literally just like, oh yeah, on my days off, I go to the cafe and I write. And I come home and but that's all they do. And I'm like, oh, okay, like what about like movies, TV? What music do you listen? All of this stuff. And they're like, I just read and write. And I'm like, how? You don't know anything then. You don't have anything to write about.
I guess, yeah, unless you're just going to regurgitate what you're reading about.
Yeah. You're just putting new characters to the same story. I mean, at least personally, like, if I, you know, I don't know what I would do as a writer if I weren't as extroverted as I am and as much of a social person, because so many, like I said, I write mostly creative nonfiction.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting.
And so,
creative nonfiction.
Yeah, so I get that a lot. As I study.
It's usually creative fiction.
Yeah, so I, you know, as a, like, I studied creative writing in college, and so I forget that, like, some of these things aren't just kind of, like, known in wider circles as, like, a genre. So, like, creative nonfiction is, at its core, I mean, it can be, I usually do short stories, but it can be, like, books, it can be poetry, it can be, you know, like, whatever, but it's based on true events, people, lives, places, things, but then there's some sort of, like, spin on it, like, you're expanding it. It's maybe not even changing the story, but I'm really bad at explaining things too. No. So for example, there was a short story that I wrote. It was actually the first short story that I ever got published. So, like I said, I grew up on a farm, and I grew up actually showing pigs competitively, and not just like 4-H and FFA. Like a lot of people are like, oh, like 4-H. And I'm like, yes, but like beyond that, like there's this whole other world that a lot of people don't know about that is competitive livestock showing. Oh. Where it's like that was my summer, we had different national shows that we'd go to all over the US, but then there was also a, like, circuit of shows that you could do that was, like, every weekend you would go to a different place in Illinois and show, and it's like, it's so like, people are cheating, people are, like, paying just, like, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to have, like, not even just, like, a good pig, but, like, everything that goes with it too. Like, there's a category at shows, so, like, you have the actual pig show where it's, like, by breed and by sex, but then there's also a whole other thing called it's showmanship, and so it's by age. You go in and you compete, and they're not judging the pig, they're judging you. Weird. And so you, like, yeah, so, like, your dress, like, how you dress matters, how you show the pig matters, like, the way that you, like, hold your emotions, and you have to have all these different things memorized about the pig that you're showing, because the judge could come over and ask you, like, anything about, basically anything that's, like, on the pig's birth certificate, they could ask you, and you have to be able to, like, do that. Or they'll come over and ask you, like, okay, like, what would you change about your pig? You have to be able to talk about, like, muscle structure and, like, crazy stuff like that I have long forgot how to do. That's
the anatomy of a pig.
Yeah, I used to know all of this so well, and it's all gone now. But basically, so bringing it back, so I wrote a creative nonfiction short story about kind of that world, but it's through the lens of toddlers and tiaras. And so it's kind of like, you know, I'm writing about the day at a national pig show, and, like, everything that happens, but everything is kind of compared to this, like, beauty pageant world where, you know, like, there's just, like, glitter everywhere, you know, like, people are shelling out thousands of dollars for one day, like, all these expenses, all the attitude that comes with that world. It's insane. And so so that's an example of creative nonfiction, where it's this, like, real thing, real event, you know, but it's not, it's kind of, like, shown through a different lens.
Kind of talk about the different attitudes of the different contestants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The brawn man, who showed no emotion, showed his pig with great authority.
Oh my gosh, did you read it? Do you have it memorized? That's crazy. That's insane. But yeah, so yeah, it's creative nonfiction. Nice. I don't know how we got to that, but...
I thought it was really cool because I haven't really heard anyone say creative nonfiction. Mm-hmm. It's usually creative fiction, or mm-hmm. I hear contemporary fiction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which are all, they're all different things. I mean, it's all writing. It's all writing. That's all. I mean, the only reason that there's really genres as specific as that is for academics, mm-hmm. you know, or for people that are like trying to get published and stuff like that. So it's important to me, but it's not important to you. You don't need to know about it. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
We can,
The academics.
The academics.
Yeah, I'll let you know if I'm trying to go to school for...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just hit me up.
Go to Harvard.
Harvard for...
English, creative mm-hmm. writing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm. Maybe when I go one day, when I go back to school one day, I'll call you up. I'll be like, all right, Jordan, we're doing this.
Yeah.
We're going back to school.
You gotta, every assignment I have to do, you have to do.
Mm-hmm. I'll just make a Google Doc and I'll be like, okay, 40-page paper on this. Go. It's due in 3 days. On the hop. Let's go, Jordan.
What is the longest thing you've written that you've enjoyed?
I mean, probably 35 pages. Nothing too crazy.
Do you keep them like in Word documents on your computer?
Yeah.
Never physical form?
No, not anymore. Just because, I mean, everything I would have had that was in physical form is from, you know, like college or before. Mm-hmm. So I still have digital copies of them, which, I mean, I still pull out and I edit and I, you know.
You're like, I was an
idiot. I'm like, God, this is so stupid. Can't believe I read this aloud.
I'm ashamed of myself.
God, I'm never going to write anything ever again.
If I could go back in time,
I'd change it all. If I could go back, I'd probably be like I'd get something I could get a job with, honestly. No, that's a lie. But, yeah.
Nice. Well, so you've lived in Nashville, what, like 3 years now?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
What would you say you've learned living here?
What I've learned living here?
Yeah.
I guess I'm trying to think of how to put this into words.
Yeah.
But, you know, that to just, this is going to sound so stupid because I can't think of the words to say it, but like to really stick with being yourself and doing what you're doing and being happy with that. One of the great and worst things about Nashville is how creative the whole city, you know, like there are so many of the best writers, photographers, musicians, like, you know, graphic designers, film people, anything that I've ever met, ever even seen the work of, they all live in Nashville. Right. It's awesome. I love that. It's great. But it's also pretty competitive because of that, which again is great because, you know, forces you to be better and do better. But, you know, one thing I have definitely learned is, you know, like not everyone can be doing this one thing that someone who's really popular is doing. You have to kind of stick with what you're doing and trust that it's the best, and that's the reason you're doing it, is because you think it's the best, and you just have to be good at it, and then it will be the best, you know. And so really just sticking with, you know, yourself, what you truly think is going to work for you.
That would be like advice you'd give someone who might be moving to Nashville. Yeah,
just really try to, you know, obviously learn. There's a lot of great things to learn here, a lot of great people to learn from, you know. And I never want to say like to be stubborn and to not expand your artistic, you know, like abilities and, you know, your worldview and your craft. Definitely expand. But don't try to be, you know, someone else.
Right.
Because that's what's popular at the time. You know, like there are, I guess photography is what I'm thinking of, because I do have a lot of photographer friends, and so I hear a lot more about like that world. But so for example, like photography, you know, there are a lot of really great photographers in Nashville that are all really great, and they're all kind of doing the same thing. And that's fine, and that's great, you know, whatever, but don't see that as just, you know, that's great, that's awesome. Like encourage them, like that's great. Don't take that as like, oh, this is what's cool now, I gotta do it. Like,
No, because the fad will fade fast.
It always does. It always does.
You don't want to catch that wave and then
no.
crashes.
You need to be waiting back.
Yeah, waiting back.
You know, riding or just holding on.
Yeah.
And then you see the bigger wave, and then you go and you hit that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, also as an artist, you want to be known for doing something new and great and innovative. You don't want to waste your time trying to emulate others. No,
because then if you do succeed in emulating others, when people congratulate you, it's like, it's not you, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Great, you imitated someone else. You're really good at it.
Yeah, like, this is awesome. It's really great. But, you know.
It's kind of like how I feel like a musician that only plays in cover bands. I mean, that can be fun, whatever, but it's just like, you never...
Yeah. I mean, and I will say, like, everyone do whatever you want to do.
Definitely.
Everyone do whatever is going to make you happy.
I'm not knocking cover bands.
Yeah, but I feel the same way.
You can learn a lot.
I feel the same way, though. Like, I mean, I'm not even a musician, but I think the cover band thing is, like, a great example. As someone that works on Broadway, for example, and so I talk to a lot of musicians that either this is their thing, they always have played on Broadway and they love it and this is what they do, but they're trying to, like, make it big. Like, they want a record deal, but they have convinced themselves that they have to just stay on Broadway. And it's very interesting, especially now, because you have a lot of musicians and, like, sound engineers that usually don't work on Broadway, but because shows aren't happening everywhere else at, like, local venues, they're working downtown now. And so they come in, they talk to me about some of this stuff. And so, you know, with that insight, I feel the same way. I'm like, how can you expect and really wish and dream and want for, like, a record deal when the only thing people know you from is doing, you know, like, Trace Adkins covers every single night? You know, that, I mean, obviously times are hard right now. You gotta play your music wherever you can play your music. But there are some musicians that do that, and they're like, yeah, I'm just waiting down here for someone to come discover me, and I'm
limbo.
Like, yeah, I'm like, I'm not a musician, so, like, I can't really have an opinion on that because I don't know that world.
Oh, you've lived here. I mean, you can see it and observe it. And,
it's more just like I can't imagine that feel, you know, like wanting to do that, you know. Yeah,
denying
it's like
yourself the reality you want to live.
Yeah, I guess the equivalent for me is, like, you know, going to a poetry reading, because so, like, at a lot of, like, readings. Not always, but some I've been to, you can, if you want, you can get up and just be like, this is my favorite poem that I've read lately, you know, or my favorite short story. I'm going to read my favorite excerpt from a short story I read, and you can get up and you can just, like, read that or whatever. And so I guess that would be the equivalent for me, is it's like, how...
Oh, you read it so beautifully.
Yeah, it's like, that's great and that's awesome. And obviously sharing your own work is a very vulnerable thing. Like, I never share my work.
Showing your influences is great.
Yeah, absolutely. But then if you're every Friday night at the poetry reading someone else's work, you're not gonna get out of your comfort zone.
No.
You're not gonna share what's yours. You're not gonna be able to get feedback.
You're not gonna take the hill.
Yeah, like, you don't know how good or bad you are until you put yourself out there.
Yeah.
You know. Which is something, I know we probably have to wrap it up soon. I don't know how long we've been recording, but I will say that's, like, something that I definitely struggle with, is sharing my work.
Well, that and, like, your perspective is very powerful too, because it's like, you know, a lot of people, we're both in the art industry, and we both have to, like, hold our integrity and our kind of dignity to what it is that we choose to present to the world. And it's like, sometimes we'd rather work in an industry that's not our medium of art to make money, so then you can present the art that you do care about, and it isn't tied to a monetary gain.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, I'm a barista by trade.
Yeah.
You know, to make money and to be around
You'll become
other...
a better writer. Yeah,
well, that's the thing.
To people.
You know, I always say, because I have some friends back, you know, I went to college with, and we'll talk about how they're, like, uninspired, where they're, you know, like, oh, I just go to work every day. And I guess that might actually be my best advice from living in Nashville.
Get jaded.
Is, like, get a job, like make money. You need money. This is a whole other like conversation we can have, but like the reality is that we
gotta have money.
We are living in a capitalist society, so you need money.
It's the commodity of the world.
It sucks. I don't like it, but this is where we're at. This is the way it is. So that being said, get a job that, you know, is gonna inspire you a little bit. Mm-hmm. You know, since becoming a barista, now I'm just like, this is all I want to do.
Yeah.
Because
it's fun.
It's a great time. I do genuinely love what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And, you know, being able to talk to customers, you know, just interact with people all day. But then also every like barista gig that I've had, besides my first one was at Starbucks, but not counting that, every local coffee shop gig that I've had, every person I work with is an artist of some kind. Mm-hmm. So I'm either working with photographers, musicians, writers, you know, like filmographers, like...
Yeah, everyone wants that caffeine. Too.
And so I'm constantly surrounded by other people that are doing things and making things. And so it puts you in the mindset of like, yeah, I need to go home and write. Or like, what are you doing later? Let's meet up and we're just going to sit together and write. Like, we're going to make stuff. Yeah. We're not going to talk, but we're just going to be together. And, you know, you have that motivation versus, you know, if I
was back home.
I was back home. If I used my degree to like be an English teacher, like that's still at least a little bit of motivation. You know, like reading and, you know, talking to students all day and stuff like that. But it's still, you know...
when you create people...
Then you don't have that, like, energy of other people making things. So, I think that's always the advice that I do give other people is I'm like, it's okay to, like, not have your dream job right now, but be around people that are going to inspire you.
Exactly.
Or that you can, you know, like, can't write if you're not doing things.
No.
And so I'm always telling, I'm like, be a barista. Just go be a barista or be a bartender or do something
retail where you have to talk to people.
Yeah. Be around, put yourself in the position where you're around other creatives and it's only going to make you more creative. It's only going to force you to make more.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Inspires you.
Yes.
Got it. Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, I want to go on record and say this before I ask the last question.
Okay.
But that your podcast is what inspired me to make this podcast.
Yes! Oh!
Awesome. All right. Now here's the last question. What is one absurd thing you love to do?
What is one absurd thing I love to do?
Yeah.
Oh... God, this is so hard. You're asking questions that I definitely have answers to, but my mind just like my 2 brain cells have just shut down for the day. And so I'm like, they're like, stop making me think. One absurd thing I love doing. I mean, do you edit this at all? Are you gonna edit it?
Maybe.
Okay. I just didn't know if there should be like dead time, if that's okay, or if that's gonna be annoying. If I should have an answer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care. It's
okay.
I'm flying by the seat of my pants.
We're just we're rolling,
we're rolling in there, just 6 shooters
guns blazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be too crazy. Like, I mean,
I want to be different. I want to say something.
Is pretty awesome. That you have a separate rewinder.
Yeah.
I think that's.
I guess.
Great.
I guess. I do love, it's not very absurd, but like I do love physical media of all kind. I've been collecting, I mean, obviously like I've had CDs and DVDs just like always. When senior year of high school, I guess, is when I got a record player, started collecting vinyl since then. So I have vinyl, and a couple of years ago I got into cassettes. So I have a wide array of cassettes as well.
So you're very hands-on.
I love being able to, I love my Spotify. I love my Netflix. I think it's great. The future is now, okay? Right. It's really great.
So much to be excited about.
Yeah, as someone that gets anxiety about the fact that I can't consume all the media, I love that I at least have a larger shot of being able to consume all the media, because now it's I can find anything I want basically anywhere. So that's great. But yeah, I love being able to, there's the mindfulness that comes with all of it, of like, you know, like today I was like, okay, I want to watch a movie. I want to watch one of my movies. So I had to go to the shelf and I had to look, and I'm like, okay, we're going to watch a VHS tape today. All right. Looking at, I got to pick out, Freddy versus Jason. Let's do this. Had to pull it out. Had to make sure it was rewound. Put it in. I hear the starts going. A couple trailers before that. Awesome.
Some disclaimers.
You'll
get arrested.
And then movie starts. Exactly. Freddy comes in. It was awesome.
Wow.
So it's great. I collect physical media. That's,
well,
I love it.
I love it too.
I could talk about it all day long. I'm very passionate about it.
That's great. What I guess handle time.
Handle time? Like tool time?
Like,
are you gonna have a song? Handle time.
And some guy.
You can cut that out.
Some guy dressed in some ridiculous outfit comes in and it's handle time.
It's handle time. Can you? You're gonna have to like clip that song right then.
Yeah.
And then you can insert that in all your podcast episodes. Definitely. Now.
Handle time.
It's handle time.
I press a little cassette over here and it shouts it.
Handle time with like static. It's
yeah. And then the button sounds. The whirring.
Okay, so like me, as in like my...
Yeah, how do people find you, talk to you, see you?
Okay. Okay, this is great because I love attention. So I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, where can we give you more attention?
Yes, give me all the attention. So you can follow me on any social media, anything. I got Instagram, Twitter. I'm not, I don't make things for TikTok yet, but I am on TikTok if you just want to preemptively find me there. I'm considering starting a YouTube channel.
You should. I mean,
why not?
Let's keep going.
That's literally my thing. Is I'm just like, well, I started a podcast.
Yeah, I know.
I might as well just do this and just like. I mean, like even now with the podcast, like I'm not like I share it. You know, like I make sure people know that it's there, but I'm not doing anything crazy. You know, like it's just for my friends. Like if it gets bigger, that's awesome. But I'm not like trying to like do anything. And so the same thing if I start a YouTube channel is it would just be like.
Fun.
What do my friends want to see? I'm going to make that for you. So you can watch me do it. Like whatever, you know. And so if that happens, it'll all be under @Erie Music. EERIEMUSICK. Erie Music. Erie. Yeah.
It's not your middle name, is it?
No, it's like you know when you're watching like a movie or TV show with the subtitles on, and if it's like a horror movie, it'll say Erie Music.
Oh yeah.
And every time that comes on, I'm like, that's me. And so I just changed all my handles. I'm Erie Music, and I think that's gonna be me forever.
Awesome.
I'm Erie Music. Follow me, Erie Music. Listen to a few of my favorite things. Podcast. You can listen to it anywhere you listen to podcasts. Everywhere except for Apple Music. They still, they don't think I'm good enough. So I'm not on there. But on Spotify and like any other, I don't care. I don't use Apple products anyway, so I don't care I don't care if they want me. Android for life over here. But yeah, I think that's
great. Well, thank you for coming here today.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.